keto, intermittent fasting, and OMAD are the subjects of this video, along with your priorities and how you're going to make this happen. Hi, this is Jane Mitten from Jane Does Keto, and today is day 14 of our 30-day OMAD challenge, and I'm checking in to see how you're doing. It's been a bit of a rough go for me. I don't know how it's been for you. I know some people are saying that they're finding more energy with OMAD than they did with just intermittent fasting. Some days it's easier, some days it isn't, probably like a lot of you. But as we delve deeper into keto and fasting and OMAD, I just was writing a little bit about priorities for myself and for others. So the question is, what are your priorities? And a lot of people in business and in kind of life coaching talk about something called, you have to find your why now. And I kind of eschew anything that everyone else is doing, but certainly we need to focus on what our priorities are, and they're different for everyone. So for me, I've been on this for over a year, and I'm trying to finish this off and get to the next phase, which is losing the last 20 pounds or so and getting into a maintenance for the rest of my life. And so whether you're in maintenance, whether you have 1 pound or 300 to lose, whether you're trying to lose weight or not, keto, intermittent fasting, and even OMAD can be very beneficial to your health on the inside, and that will reflect on the outside. So for me, as I've been writing what my priorities are, my number one priority is to lose the rest of this weight. How do you make a priority a reality? How do you change a goal into reality? That is kind of the focus. And that is something that a lot of us have done very well, whether it be in our career or family. But a lot of us also, as we focus on career and or family, at the same time, find that maybe we've left ourselves by the wayside. And that is something we really want to change, adapt, innovate, and certainly guard against. Because what I've learned in kind of being a caretaker of my family, and certainly my parents, and specifically my mother for 10 years, and then sadly she passed away, albeit luckily in very great health until the very end, and she was a great inspiration in that way, was that if you can't take care of yourself first, you don't have a lot to then give others. So it's great to be a caretaker, but caretaking always must start from within. So for I, and then we. So as you're thinking about what your priority is, if it's like me and you're trying to lose some more weight, you just get in better health, you can't let anything get in the way of that goal or that priority. So you have to have that as your main focus so that you may reach your goal. As I said, mine is to lose weight. I'm doing it, in my opinion, and in the opinion of 3 doctors I have. One fantastic doctor in Phoenix. I can't imagine anyone better. And then 2 world-renowned doctors that specialize in integrative medicine or healing the body from the inside out. So when I started, I worked a lot on the healing, because one of these doctors feels like if you don't heal first, you won't lose weight. And if you do, you will gain it back. So that's something I've focused on. So these are some of the tips that I've found over the past year that may be beneficial to you. And they come from a lot of research and working with these 3 doctors. And one of them is, first thing in the morning, I do a lot of breathing. I follow Wim Hof, as well as many other people. But I do a lot of the kind of in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5 for about 5 minutes, 3 times a day. Probably most important when you wake up and when you're about to go to sleep. The next thing is, apple cider vinegar. It is really a miracle drug. And as I've talked about before, but let me just restate, when I started this, I had a physical and I was probably not in perfect health by any means because I had this weight to lose, but certainly I wasn't on meds. I, wasn't having surgeries, going to hospitals, or even going to the doctor regularly. But I did have an elevation of liver and kidney enzymes, and that struck a chord to my doctor and I that I needed to make a change. And he hoped that I would lose 20 pounds, and I researched and decided on keto and started on that in great earnest, and in fact didn't have a single carb other than veggies for close to 6 months, and no sugar for 6 months. And I think I had one meal in 6 months that had some carbs, but it wasn't pasta or potato or anything like that. So, and of course, no alcohol, no packaged food. So it was quite a commitment. And, since then, in the last 6 months, I've, periodically had some sugar, had some lighter carbs, but heavier than veggies. And I've found that then I'm chasing it. So if you're on keto or ketotarian, you do find that you need to kind of stay focused on the cause. You can't do half keto. There's dirty keto, which means you're kind of on, kind of off. That does not work. Now, that may work for you if you're very fortunate, but for the vast majority of people, that is not going to get the job done. And another thing is, I found once when I was in my early 30s, I decided to lose weight. I weighed about 130 pounds, and I was very fastidious in what I ate, and I exercised a lot. I did about an hour and a half of cardio a day in aerobics, and I got down to about 93 pounds, which even at 4'11" was a very small number. And I was a size, 0 or 2, and what I found was I couldn't sustain it. And I think it's because I was not eating this way. So I was not doing kind of a high fat, the good fats, but high fat, very clean protein and green leafy veggies, and that's it. I was eating carbs. I was even eating a little sugar. I wasn't eating a lot of protein, and I was staying away from fat. Kind of what the FDA has taught us to do, and watch every calorie. Well, of course, keto is very different than that. As we know, keto is not about calories, and it's certainly about staying away from heavy carbs, processed foods, sugars, and alcohol. And all of these doctors think that's a great idea. So as I have been constantly switching my priorities to make sure that I can finish this, or as I call it, get the job done, I'm sitting at a 60-pound weight loss. I have vacillated about 8 pounds back and forth trying to get down. I'm about 115. I'm trying to get to 90 pounds. And it's a struggle right now. I have to say that the first 50 were really effortless. And that was starting a year ago. And now, of course, as I'm getting to very small numbers, it's getting much harder. But I stand undeterred. I will get there, as I know you will get there. If you follow keto, clean keto, ketotarian, which is Mark Hyman's version of keto, which is very healthy. So the very good fats and the clean protein and the green leafy veggies, you will lose the weight. Don't go right back on carbs though, on heavy carbs and alcohol and sugar, because you'll gain it back. So one thing that I found is apple cider vinegar. I do 2 tablespoons in the morning with fresh squeezed lemon, or even reconstituted lemon juice is fine, and water. I drink about 8 to 16 ounces of water with that. I do that in the morning, and I do it before I go to sleep. And it just heals the gut. It makes you feel great. If you've been a person that's had any gut problems, as I did, it takes that away. So you really feel energized. So that's the first thing. And as I said, I do some breathing in the morning and in the evening, and then I do stretching, and I'll do 5 to 10 minutes. I don't do a great deal, and I do a plank. And I usually do anywhere from a 1 to 5 minute plank, depending on how motivated I am. And that is very helpful for all the organs in the lower part of the abdomen, as well as the gut and all the muscles, because they're holding the whole body up. So I would highly recommend planking. And then I usually will do either a very fast walk jog for 45 to an hour, minutes to an hour, or I will do a whole workout in the pool. And I'd love to show that to you. I'd love to kind of do a video on that. But I'm doing deep water running, I'm doing jumping in the water, and lots of different calisthenics, and I'm using my own body weight as the weight. So I haven't done a lot of weights since I've been kind of on this new lifestyle for a year, but I'm going to start. I feel like I'm getting to the point where I've lost enough of the fat that if I do weights, then the lean muscle mass will show through. And one great thing about keto and intermittent fasting and OMAD, 1 meal a day, is that you retain your muscle mass because you're burning your own body fat, not glucose. So you're not burning, the carbs and the sugars in glucose. You're burning your own body fat, and that is ketogenesis. So that is why you end up looking better. You don't have all the saggy skin that people might have that are on a different type of diet. When I asked my doctor what kind of a diet I should be on, he dryly explained to me, whichever one will work. And that is the truest statement. So you don't have to follow me. I'm here for support, but you want to be on whatever lifestyle, I call it that instead of a diet, that will work for you. But I can tell you for an absolute fact, I sit here 60 pounds lighter than I was at the start of the pandemic. And Steve has lost 30 pounds. He was 190, but he looked good at 6 feet. He now is at 160 and can't afford to lose another ounce. He didn't even try. He just ate what I cooked. So if this can help you, another thing is the fasting. So going on keto was great, but I really started dropping weight and changing my shape when I started intermittent fasting. And for about 10 or 11 months, I did the 16-8 program. So I ate dinner at about 5 or 6, and then I wouldn't eat until about noon the next day. So that meant that I was restoring and repairing my body for about 16 hours a day. And then I would eat, a lunch, and then I'd eat a dinner, no snacks. Since then, in the past month or 6 weeks, I've switched to OMAD to try to kind of regenerate, speed up this process, and give my body more time to restore, repair, and regenerate, which is OMAD, 1 meal a day. So I'm fasting about 22 hours a day. I eat a meal between 2 and 5. Usually my eating window, or feeding window as they call it, is about an hour to 2 hours. And I find that really does work well. And I'm spending much less time thinking about food, buying food, preparing food, doing dishes. So I can recommend, if you're a person like I was a sugar addict, and I'm sure I still am, but if you have any kind of addictions about food, which I think probably we all do to some extent, if you're not being exposed to it many times a day, you're just going to be that much more successful. And everyone is recommending intermittent fasting, where not everyone recommends keto. It's specific to people, but there's no question that fasting gives your body a chance to heal, and it's beneficial to everyone. So I highly recommend OMAD, 1 meal a day. So we're doing apple cider vinegar, lemon, and water when we waken. We're doing breathing, stretching, a plank, And then, whatever time you can fit in any kind of a workout is a great idea. For a lot of the year, I didn't do really heavy workouts. I might do, a slow jog for half an hour, something like that. It just depends on where you are. I've been doing sprinting and things like that now. But I know there are people that are, following me and talking to me. They're in the, I won't say the numbers, but they have, more than 100 pounds to lose. I just told them to walk in the house 100 times a day, back and forth. Don't go outside. Don't risk your health by falling or something, because the famous saying is, you can't outrun the fork. And of course, what that means is no matter how great you are at all of your exercise and lifting weights and massive cardio and Peloton and, Zumba and Pilates and all these things, which are fantastic, if your diet isn't clean, you will never look the way you want. So it's imperative to focus on the food. So then what I find with fasting is it greatly eliminates cravings for any of the foods that you may crave, whether it be savory or sweet, maybe alcohol. All of those things are basically eliminated when you're fasting. But don't let anyone or anything stop you from reaching your goal. And when I say don't let anyone or anything, here's a key caveat to that. Don't let anyone or anything stop you from reaching your goal, including yourself. And this is a big one for me and maybe for you. But no matter what is going on in your life, and I know we all have a lot going on, don't let yourself be the reason that you don't reach a goal or a priority that you have. So don't let your mind trick you. Oh, I'll just eat this now, but tomorrow I'll be right back on. Believe me, I've done that. I especially, between December and March 1st, I did that a lot. I would go out for a meal and think, oh, well, I'll just restart tomorrow. Well, then tomorrow I would do it again. I'd say, oh, well, and what's amazing is you gain some weight, or inches, because inches are just as bad as gaining weight. And then, you're rebooting. And you don't need to do that. And you don't want to do that. It's demoralizing. So don't let your mind trick you into not focusing and meeting your goal. And remember this, nothing you eat will ever make you as happy as looking and feeling good does. So if this video has helped you, please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, Jane Mitten at YouTube, and I'm Global Jane at Instagram. I'm going for another 20 pounds or so. I should get to 90 pounds. I will be doing that hopefully by the end of the summer. I'm giving myself, as much time as I need. It may take a year. It doesn't matter how long it takes us. What matters is today we're moving on to another phase of our lives where we're never gonna have this over our heads. Whether it's weight you want to lose, or you want to get off alcohol or sugar or processed and packaged foods, maybe you have something medically wrong. It's amazing what this can do. I personally know people that have had heart problems, they're on high blood pressure. I've known people with diabetes. I've known people with high cholesterol, and they've eliminated all medicines from doing keto and fasting. That's all I have to say. So, if you're like me, like most people where luckily we don't have those things, it even does more for you. And I'm just a person who this has been very successful for, and I'm telling you that this is something that can change your life for the rest of your life and give you great confidence. You're healing from the inside out. Your mind is clear and focused, very focused. You have a lightness of spirit and heart. You feel happier. You sleep better. you don't have anything wrong medically. Your blood work looks great. I was told my blood work looked like a 25-year-old male athlete. Unfortunately for me, I'm nowhere near that age. And although I am an athlete, I'm not a 25-year-old male athlete. So that is something I take great pride in. And as I said, as great as we want to look on the outside, and I don't know about you, but I'd like to rock a string bikini this summer. Yes, it's true. I'll take healing on the inside and not, knowing that I'm in great health, not taking any medicines, hopefully not going to doctors. So I wish that for you, and come with me and enjoy this adventure and this journey. And as my dad said, every step of the journey is the journey. So we're not going towards a destination. We're enjoying this journey. And listen to me. I've been mostly successful, but I've done some things wrong, especially a few months ago. So I want to steer you clear of those. But just think about what your priorities are and what your goal is, and make it the priority in your life. So again, join me, Jane Mitten, on YouTube. Ring the bell, subscribe to my channel, and I will keep putting up these videos. It's all free of charge, just to help you. And again, this is day 14 of our OMAD challenge. We're about halfway through. And I think you're going to find a big difference in how you feel and look by the 30 days. I'll see you tomorrow. Hope you're having a great day. Remember to drink a lot of water and include a little salt in your water. Keep your electrolytes up as it gets hotter.